It's just fun to be back in here with like a purpose. Like when you're in here for OTAs and like the start of training camp, you know, you're just trying to get a little bit better, trying to practice, and then once the first season hits, first game of the season, first week, you have the game plan in. Definitely the vibe is excellent, and then also when you get to solve out some contract stuff and all your players are here, it's definitely very fun.
Was there a noticeable difference just specifically with this week in terms of Trent and Brandon being back where it felt like go time?
Yes and no. I mean, I think we did a really good job all of training camp of like working really hard and getting better with the players that we had on the football field. And like, it's hard to replace someone like Trent Williams, who's a walking first ballot Hall of Famer, and Brandon Ayuk, who's just a phenomenal wide receiver. I will say a lot of the guys who weren't here last year, when they saw Trent Williams, are like, holy cow, that's Trent Williams. And like just his presence on a football field is probably the most noticeable of anyone else I've ever seen on a football field before.
It's the most continuity I think this offense has ever had. Like returning starters.
Yeah, everyone's back, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So, on top of that, from the cohesion perspective, I know all the outside zone stuff you do, route running. How do you think that could positively affect the early season?
I mean, it's just like when you're not starting from scratch, you're not having to teach a bunch of like new guys, new plays, or like we're not having to teach new free agents like, hey, this is your landmark, you need to get these steps. And Coach Shanahan's office is very like particular, the amount of rules that are in everything. Like every single play tells every single person what to do, whether it's like I said, your landmarks, your steps, whatever it is. And when you've been in the system for a couple years, it makes it a lot easier. And so I think we're going to be able to start like doing all the plays that we were doing later in the season last year, and just start with those off the rip and not just have to work with those. And then now Kyle will get a little bit more creative with those as well too.
Does that continuity help with the fact that Kyle makes such a big deal about practice and reps, and Christian talks about it incessantly, you know, reps. Well, he hasn't had a lot of reps, and Ayuk hasn't had a lot of reps, and Trent hasn't had a lot of reps, but that continuity can compensate for that?
It's a great question. I think that the guys who have been missing reps are talented enough that they're going to be okay. Now, you might see a little bit of rust. I don't know. I don't really expect to see rust. I think, you know, we had 2 really good days of practice, and I know that, you know, the guys who missed a couple of practices here and there, you know, they're going to be just fine. And, you know, it's Monday Night Football, only game on television. Like, they're going to be up and ready for it. I'm not worried about them. And, you know, like I said, you know, most of our roster was here practicing, so I think a lot of guys are ready, and they're going to go out there and play at a high level. But, yeah, I mean, they know the offense. It's not like they're learning a brand new offense, right? Yeah, sure. Maybe Trent now needs to work on his sets and stuff like that. But the nice thing at the end of the day is that Trent Williams is Trent Williams, and he's going to be okay.
What about Christian, George? What do you expect to see out of Christian? I mean, he's the defending NFL rushing champ, offensive player of the year. How has he gotten better over the?
I thought you were going to give him one more compliment.
And he got married.
Yeah. Good job, Ken.
Thank you.
That was a good one.
Yeah. So it was a compliment.
My expectations for Christian, whatever his expectations are for himself, which I know are very high. He has an incredibly high standard for himself. He takes this incredibly seriously. You know, every time Kyle talks about him, you know, gives him his flowers about how hard he works, how meticulous he is, how hard he is on himself 24/7. And so I believe that Christian's going to have another great year. There's an anonymous poll, and I think Christian should be, you know, he'll probably compete for the MVP, but I wasn't allowed to pick someone on my own team, which I think is BS, but it is what it is. But, you know, Christian's going to have another fantastic football season.
What are the hallmarks of a Robert Saleh defense?
Legendary is what I would say. Quan Alexander energy. That's what I would go with. Like, just everyone flying around on the same page. Everybody rushing. Everyone swarming. You know, just defensive linemen making tackles 10 yards down the field, getting like the strip fumbles from behind, penetrating edges, penetrating nose tackles. I would say just, I'd say flying around and just whatever energy Quan Alexander is, that's Robert Saleh.
This is a day there where you sat out maybe practice longer than you would have during season or something. Kind of precaution, or is it
Every day presents new challenges. You know, it's just you got to do what you got to do.
What are your expectations coming in this year? You know, I was telling George, you're defending NFL rushing champ, offensive player of the year, other things on and on. What do you have in mind for yourself that's going to reflect on the team?
I think it's just taking it one play at a time. You know, I don't like to look at, you know, what's ahead. Each play has a life of its own, and just do what you have to do on each play. Take care of the things that you control, and then go from there. See what happens.
the team that you're playing plays a very similar style of defense to this one. Does that present an advantage or a disadvantage to you guys?
I mean, we'll see. They play really well together. They play great team defense. Obviously, they're well coached and play with good team speed. They're disciplined. They run fast. Definitely present a lot of challenges.
Christian, what did you think of Mason and the way he ran this summer? He was impressive.
He did great, man. He did great. I think he did such a good job filling in. I think our whole room has really pushed the standard, and that's been something that's been cool to see.
What's it been like in practice this week, having Trent, Brandon back, basically everybody back now?
Really cool. Yeah, it's been definitely a little bit of fresh energy in the building, knowing that all that stuff's behind us, so we can just play football now.
Have you seen or studied him, but looked at Breece Hall much? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. I have a lot of respect for Breece. I think he's a heck of a back. He's big, fast, strong, can make any cut. He sees it well. He can make big plays when they're not there. And yeah, I have tremendous respect for him.
Frank Gore was on the radio today talking about one of the first times he met you was at joint practices. Do you remember this?
Yeah, he was in Buffalo?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember him saying anything to you?
Man, I remember meeting him. Sometimes when you meet people that you watched as a kid, you're just worried about not saying anything stupid. So I don't remember exactly what he said to me, but I remember meeting him, and it was a big honor when I did. And now being able just to chat with him a little bit has been really cool.
I think he said basically he remembered just telling you he was impressed by what he heard about you, so he went and watched film of you.
Yeah, I do remember.
And then
he said he watched. It was the second day when I met him. And he came in the second day and said he had some cool compliments.
He liked the way you worked.
Yeah, hearing it from someone like that meant a lot.
What does it mean to you to be named 49ers team captain for the first time?
Oh, that's a huge honor, man. I'm in some great company. Definitely a big honor that I take seriously and don't take lightly.
Have you watched, kind of studied your rookie class, and if so, what jumped out to you among the 9 players that drafted?
I've been really impressed with our rookie class. I think, sometimes when rookies come in, you don't know what you're going to get, but every single one of these guys works extremely hard. They have the right attitude, the right intent. They all fit really well within, the way that we do things around here, and just been really impressed with all of them.